tell me why the lead quality was low, right? Like, did the patient not have the problem that you fix? Oh, okay, they do, right? Is it a payment issue? Okay, well, if you didn't see the patient in the practice and inside the walls of your business, how do you know what they could or couldn't afford? Oh, hang on a second, you never called them, or you only called them once, or you called them 13 days after the lead was generated, or in the example of reviews and rankings, right? You were the fifth business instead of the first that got the phone call, in terms of that kind of lead or prospect. So a lot of these businesses, I mean, we have these arsenal of tools inside of Go High Level that I think a lot of the time, we all know that we're not utilizing 100%, but these businesses can all benefit from it.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the High Level Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I am excited to be joined by Brad Ferris. He's the co-owner, the VP of marketing for Clinic Grower, which is a seven-figure full-stack marketing agency that services the high-end cosmetic industry. Brad, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Chase.
This is going to be a different sort of spotlight session, and I'm really excited about it. And I think I should start with the funny story of how this came to be, which was that Brad put something up in the Facebook group that got flagged as spam. And he reached out to me, and I had a quick glance at it, and I was like, yeah, that's spam. And then, I forget what you sent me or whatever. And then I actually sat down and read it, and I was like, wait a minute. Wait, are you being serious here? And you were like, yes, totally serious.
Yep.
And basically the post was you offering your time for free as a mentor, essentially. And, I was like, what's the catch here, Brad? Like, people don't just do this. And your response was really interesting. So where did this come from? Tell me about this idea that you had.
Yeah, so my background is medical plus business. Had a lot of success running different medical practices for colleagues of mine as I was nursing. And a bunch of us in a smaller mastermind had gone to a Tony Robbins event in November. And what was really interesting to me was I didn't go necessarily dragging and kicking, but I'm not the Kool-Aid kind of drinking person. And when I was there, what was really powerful to me from an internal motivation standpoint was he talked a lot about growth and fulfillment. And I'm at that point in my career, I've got gray hair, 40, kids, mortgage, all that sort of stuff. And I thought to myself, as much as I'm growing my business and I'm enjoying that, what I also enjoyed earlier in my career was sitting on board of directors for small nonprofits locally and, mingling with other business owners. And again, in those instances, it's not a paid gig, it's volunteer. You churn out, after usually a year to 3 year term, to kind of keep faces fresh, but you're really there as kind of the guardian, mentor. Everyone brings different experiences, right? So the board should be made up of different things. And part of me thought to myself, wouldn't that be a really cool thing to do for an agency that may not have the ability to bring a group of directors on because they're still quite small? And, not to take away from the coaches or mentors that are out there, but, maybe for 1 hour a month, each of us would mentor an agency, really clear strategy, really hyper-focused, really high accountability. They can still go to their weekly masterminds and everything else, but it's just either a fresh perspective or a very focused perspective. And would a lot of agencies benefit from that? Of course, the catch is going to be, well, what's in it for us? And it's no different than when you volunteer for a board of directors. There are ethics, there are codes of conduct, there are things that you don't, kind of take a gift or something like that for. But if we're donating an hour of our time a month for a year, then over the next couple of years, each of us has an opportunity to influence a lot of agencies.
Super cool. And it's really an amazing thing that you're willing to do here, because, we were chatting about some of this earlier. You're a very unique marketer in that you started in your industry on the business side of it before you ended up on the marketing side of it. So you had a funny comment to me, which was, we were talking about doing lead gen or working with med spa. And I was like, yeah, some of it is just almost too easy. And you were like, well, yeah, on the lead side, but like most of them really need help on the business operations side. And that led us to a conversation about like, yeah, but that really just takes years of experience, right? And And you had a unique perspective on that, and which I thought was really interesting. If you're somebody, especially if you're working with med spas, cosmetic, anything medical, this is a real opportunity to expand your expertise, I would say. So talk to me a little bit about what I'm saying here.
Yeah, so just coming from different backgrounds, I think that that's the great thing about the community that we're in. I a lot of the time just in kind of comments and threads and seeing lots of different kind of webinars and stuff, we talk about offers a lot of the time, right? And I think what's more important sometimes than the offer is your avatar, right? Really knowing them, right? And again, we know enough about how to generate review campaigns, database reactivations, these types of things. If you're looking at a niche that's really not that competitively saturated yet, but you don't yet know every struggle that they have, I mean, you've got a lot of great tools for a small fee, minimal fee, average fee to go in and in exchange, right, for that success, gain knowledge. And for a lot of us, especially in kind of our smaller inner circle, we have really enhanced our offers by learning more about what these companies struggle with versus the typical, 20 to 30 guaranteed leads per month, that kind of like what most people will end up starting with. So I think that there are levels as you grow an agency, and part of your offer is elevating in that as well. And I think that a lot of the time the offers don't necessarily match the problems that the businesses are encountering.
You told a funny story about talking to a new client and they were like, "Oh, great, you're the 7th marketing company we've worked with."
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you were
I mean,
like,
to us, it's a massive red flag, right? Because the mindset there is a challenge. They think that the leads are poor quality. And I mean, in our industry, we work a lot of the time with cosmetic dentists. So an example would be, the dentist will tell us that they're low quality. And I'll kind of smile and say, okay, great. So if you've got the lead list, give it to me. If I generate anything, you give me 90% of the revenue. And then the smile wipes off their face because they realize that, like that wouldn't make sense. And I'm like, okay, so tell me why the lead quality was low, right? Like, did the patient not have the problem that you fix? Oh, okay, they do, right? Is it a payment issue? Okay, well, if you didn't see the patient in the practice and inside the walls of your business, how do you know what they could or couldn't afford? Oh, hang on a second, you never called them, or you only called them once, or you called them 13 days after the lead was generated, or in the example of reviews and rankings, right? You were the 5th business instead of the 1st that got the phone call, in terms of that kind of lead or prospect. So a lot of these businesses, I mean, we have these arsenal of tools inside of Go High Level that I think a lot of the time, we all know that we're not utilizing 100%, but these businesses can all benefit from it.
it's a really great point. And it makes me think of things like, when you're onboarding a new client, having conversations around like, are you set up to offer financing for some of this stuff? Like, we need to make sure that you know how to handle the common objections that are going to come out of people's mouths, these leads that we generate for you, because they're not bad leads, but they are going to all have different scenarios and whatnot. And now we're talking about the business operations side of things, which again, traditionally just takes years of experience to learn. But being able to mentor somebody like you, I really think is a massive opportunity. Now, how do you plan to do this, right? Like when this goes live, I'd imagine you have quite a few folks reaching out, and you only have 1 hour a month, right? So
yeah, so
talk
I mean,
to me about what you're thinking.
Yeah, so I am here to sell something small, right? Right now, I only have a small number of mentors. So anyone that's watching that's also running a 7 or 8 figure agency, I mean, I'm going to issue a challenge to our community, and I'm going to say, look, there's a lot of agencies out there at 12K, 20K, 50K. They're struggling to scale, and we're all kind of sitting here talking, amongst ourselves about our problems, but our problems aren't even close to what they were 2 or 3 years ago when we were just getting started. So yes, there's going to be probably a lot of agencies that will seek we're going to call it a chief, strategy officer mentorship program. But I'm also issuing a challenge to a lot of my colleagues out there that have 7 and 8 figure agencies and saying, look, you can give to a charity this year. That's great. You can do something else, but I think donating your time will actually be really fulfilling. And it's been surprising to me for the 5 or 6 so far that have come forward. They weren't some people that I expected, but they really, really loved the idea. We've paired them up already. They're starting those sessions. I've started mine already with my mentee. And my goal here is, yeah, we may not be able to place everybody, but at least, if we can try our best, if we can get a good group together, I mean, there's a potential that we could place, 3-4 dozen different agencies.
That's cool. And I imagine between the 6 of you that there are now, you guys have experience across most of the most common industries.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing is, one of the conversations we had early on in November when we kind of thought of this and we're talking kind of like over dinner, was, I took somebody in medical just because the need was there based on what was kind of shared with our group. But there's a couple of other people that are going to go and help an agency in a totally different area, more so because they're struggling with prospecting. And they're prospecting, that's their strength, right? So yes, they might be in a different agency, but they understand the difference between prospecting and sales and where that transition has to take over. So just like Paulson, I said, I was watching earlier, kind of the lead magnet webinar. There's somebody else that's really good with that, right? So, somebody else that really needs that help. We've got one person who's done a private placement with private equity recently, and still running an agency. So, that could be a good fit. But at the end of the day, our hope, we think our skill set is varied enough that we can pretty much help anybody, whether it's in the same niche or in a similar situation. I think a lot of people would still benefit from our experience.
And I'm sure that a lot of what you're going to bring to this translates across industries, right? We're talking about cash flow, right? Like cash flow, every business
hiring
potentially has a cash flow problem, hiring, all these types of things. Yeah.
How you set up different systems, right? Going from, Google spreadsheets to Asana to Monday to something else. I think a lot of us have had growing pains getting to this. It wasn't, some of us grew dramatically quick, and that poses its own challenges. Some of us, it was a longer road, but it was more controlled, right? Some of us really excel in retention and client success. Like that's one of my areas of expertise. Others will be really, really good salespeople, right? Sales systems and things like that. So I don't necessarily think that the chief strategy officer is going to be kind of like the fix everything. But if an agency comes in and, again, they're going to have an hour every month with that mentor, their job is going to be to come prepared, have the agenda, have the accountability from the month before, and to report, and really kind of be there to take a lot of really heavy notes on what do you need to go and execute on in the next 30 days.
Very cool. So how does somebody get involved? For the folks that are like, I'm in.
Yeah, so we got a form. It's not super sophisticated. We've got a Google form where basically we're asking mentors and agencies that are looking for mentoring to basically tell us a little bit about themselves. So I don't think anything needs to be like, nothing confidential or anything like that, but we're asking for like name, contact information. And then what we have found really helpful is about a 2 to 7 minute Loom video explaining kind of what the biggest challenge is. That gives us the opportunity to share on a spreadsheet to the mentor group to kind of say, hey, here's the pool of candidates that have come through. Everyone put their hand up in terms of who they think they can help. And at this point, we've been lucky, knock on wood, that we haven't had to push a mentor with an agency that wasn't a fit. We've had enough on both sides to kind of make sure that everyone finds that good fit.
And have you, or do you guys have plans to sort of brand this?
We like I said, we put the post up, and that's the one thing I'd go back and say, it wasn't just a post. We had like 98 comments in the first 15 minutes on it. So I knew I was onto something, and then reached out to Sean, reached out to you. I don't know what this will look like. I haven't, like I said, it wasn't something that we thought of a business plan and how to monetize it and stuff like that. Maybe there's, suggestions, maybe there's a future partnership with High Level on it. I think the biggest thing is, for the next quarter or two, getting the agencies in, getting the mentors set up, and maybe there's an opportunity in a couple months to evaluate, how well is it going, and is this something that perpetually makes sense to do on an annual basis?
Yeah, I think that would be cool for the folks who are donating their time to be able to be recognized as a whatever mentor, And so that's great. So we'll make sure that the link is below if you're interested in being a mentor or mentoree, mentee?
Mentoree? Yeah,
What is,
mentee.
what is the
Mentoree?
term there? If you're interested in being mentored, you guys can head over to that link, and then we should loop back. Let us know how it's going in 2 months, and if it's going really well, yeah, we can talk about what's next.
Yep. Yeah, and just from a high level ethics side, I mean, we made it really clear to the mentors. I mean, this is a zero compensation gig, right? There's not going to be gifting. There's not going to be a, hey, I also have this software and I'll sell it to you for this or something like that. We're really doing it from a growth and fulfillment standpoint, but also on the flip side, the agencies that apply should expect to come in and really like work hard, work their ass off on it, come prepared. The mentors, given our time and the agencies that we're running right now and the other projects that we're doing, we're not going to want to come to that hour without, the agencies having an agenda, having a level of accountability. Our goal is to make sure that if you've got 12 spots available for the year with each of us, that you're coming and making sure that you're intending to maximize it.
I mean, that's certainly fair. It's an amazing offer. So,
yeah.
On behalf of the community that you're about to help, thank you very much.
We'll see how many we get.
Cool. Well, we'll talk to you in a couple of months and see how it's going. But thanks for coming on, Brad, and thanks for putting this together.
Thanks, Chase.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.